From Screen Junkie Studios, it's time to tune in to TV Fights. And now your host, Roxy Striar. This episode is brought to you by T-Mobile. Now Netflix is included. Another reason why T-Mobile is America's best unlimited network. Switch today.
What's up, Screen Junkies? Welcome to TV Fights. Yeah.
Yes.
It sounded better. It sounded better beforehand. I hit the high notes better. TV Fights. TV Fights.
Yeah. I really like
TV
this.
Fights.
Take it to the
Nailed
bridge.
it every time. Take it to the bridge.
So good.
You really want me to?
Yes.
You really want me to take it to the bridge? I don't think that's the case. All right, guys, welcome to an awesome episode of TV Fights where we are fighting it out over many different topics, including what new fall show will be the first to get canceled. We're also talking about what show should Jennifer Lawrence join the cast of. Shout out to Gossip Girl having its 10-year anniversary today. You'll understand. 100-year anniversary. 10-year anniversary today. That will be relevant when we get to that fight. I'll explain it. And also, what is the biggest snub from this year's Emmys, which 5% of the population in this country watched. It was the lowest of all time. But we're still talking about it because we're TV Fights, damn it, and the Emmys matter to us here.
When you think of how many people are in this country, 1 out of 20 is pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds like not bad.
Yeah.
How many of us don't have like TV too?
Yeah,
Like how many of us are cord cutters?
It's decent when we're all cord cutters in this millennial Gen Z world going on.
I
Plug the
got
cord
TV.
back in.
I definitely have my cord.
Put your cords in something. What is the opposite of in, by the way? We don't know. We talked about that before the show. Anyway, moving on.
Ow.
As Billy scratches his head, and that's my sign to continue to introduce the fighters.
I'm just itchy, for God's sakes.
He's like,
not
oh,
everything is
no.
not everything is subtext on TV Fights.
I don't know, man.
That's true. That's true. All right, guys. Fresh off her appearance from the Movie Fights debut Deathmatch, she wants me to make sure you guys know this. She was the winner, and she is sitting next to me. Yell Teagle in the house, guys.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, boo.
Yell, awesome job. I know
Thank
it got a very heated there.
It got a little heated. I'm just really proud of myself, and that's why I wanted you to announce it.
Also very humble coming away from this win.
I followed it. So that's a huge deal, though. I love when the TV fighters go on to Movie Fights and kick some butt. How are you feeling today? Are you going to use some of those tactics and implement them here, or are you getting a whole new strategy?
For those who saw the fight, I don't think I should use those tactics. So I'm real proud of myself for winning because no one saw it coming. Yep.
All right. Maybe they won't see it coming today. You never know.
Maybe.
I've told her ahead of time she can use that tactic on me, and it
That wasn't
will
the
work.
only tactic.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, guys. To her left, the host of Tights and Fights. She also has an awesome show at Hyper RPG that I want to talk about. She's a TV Fight fan favorite. It's Danielle Radford.
Hello.
Hello. I like a double hand wave.
I like a double, just a little, hi.
So tell me about your show.
Okay, so the show that I do on Hyper RPG on Twitch is a role-playing show. So just like straight like D&D style, but it's in the Valiant Comics universe, and it's canon in the Valiant Comics universe, which is crazy because it's just me and a bunch of like comics and like the voice of Lucio from Overwatch. And
Wild.
and it's super fun, and it's like the best time I have all week. And that one is Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern or Western Standard Time. That's not a time. Pacific Standard Time.
Western. You know all those Western standards.
Pacific Standard Time.
So that's going to be high pressure because you are canon, and here you are on a high pressure show. I feel like
Yes.
you've been training for this.
Yeah, this is how I got ready for that. Was just all of these days and the fights minds.
Once you're canon, you can't be uncanonized, except for like the Star Wars expanded universe.
See,
but
but
everything else,
anytime.
they can just uncanon you.
They Jar Jar Binks
Is that like a phone call or an email kind of
Yeah.
situation?
I would hope. I would hope if I was being uncanonized, I'd get a phone call.
I would hope so, but Jar Jar Binks is like a sad clown now that entertains children to make up for all of his.
Oh gosh, it just got depressing and too real. I don't
It's
want to hear
real.
about that
That's
anymore.
what happened.
He had an amazing debut on this show, guys, and he is coming back for that W. In case he looks like our friend Lon, that's not Lon, it's Jonathan Harris. They're brothers. That's the part that I missed to say there. Yep. So how are you feeling coming into today's fight?
I feel good. I feel like I learned a lot from my first appearance, which
Ooh,
was a
do
loss,
tell.
but it was a tight loss. I was going up against some superstars here. I feel like I'm regrouping. I'm coming back. I'm ready to bounce back.
Have you been binging some television, ready for this moment now?
I mean, I've been binging some television in general, and it just so happens to coincide with being on this show. So
Just claim
good
you're
thing
doing it for the show, for research purposes.
The only reason I was cuddled up on my couch by myself watching 20 hours of television is for this show. I wasn't just doing that.
Hoping and praying you'd be asked back. I'm just going to watch all of the television out there. I love it. All right, guys,
It's a good
and
tactic.
I just want to, that is a good tactic. Before we announce our fact checker extraordinaire, who I'm sure you guys know already, I want to let you know that there will be a special announcement at the end of the show, so don't go anywhere. But before that, our fact checker, Billy Business in the house!
Mr. Business.
What a tease. What a tease. I can't wait to the end of the show to find out myself. Shout out to Patricia, who is watching us on the bus right now on her phone. If Patricia can watch this on the bus, you have no excuse. But I guess you're already here, so it doesn't matter. But you can type along with us, hashtag TV Fights Live, or in the YouTube chat. Like I always say, you guys are the fourth player because your answers sometimes are better than the fighters. Just
Billy,
saying.
out of curiosity, do you know what your lower third is today?
Oh, yeah, because this morning on SJU, we talked about how porgs might be a food source for Luke Skywalker, and I would eat the shit out of a porg because that is the only thing they are good for.
With like a fork and knife kind of
No, with my
situation?
bare hands, I would just...
Would you cook it or just eat it raw?
Oh, I would eat it raw. You have to raw a porg.
It got weird.
It got weird.
Yeah, I let it breathe for a second, and then it got weirder. So that's when you know you have to move on. All right, guys.
Hashtag you have to raw a porg.
Oh, yeah,
It's
because
trending by the end of the
Roxy
show.
never says weird, uncomfortable things that I have to sit in for long periods of time on this show. Never happened.
I didn't say that. I opened the show singing. Solo act. I've gone solo. All right, let's fight.
Let's go, Beyonce.
Fight.
I'm Beyonce. Please be.
You're an
Who's it gonna be? I feel like it's Jonathan.
Jonathan Smith.
I don't know what that means, but all right.
You wouldn't know what that means, okay? You were not a Destiny's Child fan. Get out of here. Let's get into round one. There was no rebuttal on that. He was just like, no, it was not.
I know, jumping.
Dear God. If you can sing one line from it, you get a half brownie point.
Ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and this and all your fellas leave your girl with her
Keep
friends.
going, yep.
Because it's 11:30 and the club is jumping.
We're on
That is
YouTube.
half a line.
We're on YouTube, so you have to change a couple notes and words every 5 seconds
Yes,
or
that's
so.
why he did that.
I feel like the melody was off enough to that there would be no copyright claim there. No one's gonna watch that and be like, we gotta sue that guy.
I'm pretty sure you nailed it, which means we're going into question number one now. Here we go, round one. JT, that's your cue. Yeah, I know, but every time I say it, you gotta do it, man. We've been doing like 96 episodes of this show or something.
Every time he dings, I'm just going to do a new...
Face
Face
post.
pose.
All right, this question is coming from @Devin Colson, who wants to know, stumbled over that last name, which new fall show is likely not to survive a full season? We're starting with Yell on this one, making our way around the table.
My answer is 9JKL.
Mic drop. All right, Danielle.
Okay, so I went with Ghosted as my answer. Just to say a little bit about it, fantasy comedies don't do well. They very, very, very rarely do well. And it was also created by co-producer of one of the worst comedies ever, and I'll talk about it when we get into the fight.
Jonathan.
I went with The Good Doctor, which is... Actually, you know what? I'm just going to read the premise of The Good Doctor if I can. A young surgeon with savant syndrome is recruited into the pediatric surgical unit of a prestigious hospital. The question will arise, can a person who doesn't have the ability to relate to people actually save their lives? This question was asked during the show House for 8 seasons, and the answer was always yes.
All right, let's fight it, guys.
So House, as you said, did go on for 8 seasons. Therefore, The Good Doctor has precedent that it will go on for a while. And Ghosted has 2 actors who are so beloved and were in successful comedies. But 9JKL is basically a man moves back in with his family. Now, we saw that in 2013 with The Millers, with Will Arnett and Beau Bridges. We saw that with Crowded, where 2 girls moved in with their parents. in 2015 with Patrick Warburton, and Believe My Dad Says in 2010 with William Shatner. And those are just three when I quickly Googled, what are the other shows where grown people move back in with their parents? So this show has no future.
There's a
that's a 9J words and words and words. First of all, it's a CBS multicam, and so if anyone's going to make that work, it's going to be CBS. Also, that show is on Monday night, so it's going to be Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon, 9 letters, and then the new rebooted Kevin Can Wait with Leah Remini. If anyone has a chance to make it, that one is like, you can't more perfectly put a show to be able to make sure that it survives as that one. That one is like nestled and protective, like a beautiful non-eaten baby Borg inside a gorgeous show. Whereas with Ghosted, yes, it does have like one of the most charming actors ever. It was also created by
two of the most
charming actors
Which
ever.
one were you thinking of, though?
Well, I was thinking of both of them. I was thinking more of Nate, to be honest. Like, I love Adam Scott's great. They're both fantastic. But it was created by Tom Gormican, who was co-producer of movie 43, which I believe is the only thing he's ever co-produced. It is one of the worst comedies ever that was filled with nothing but, like, really good comedians, Oscar winners who were tricked into being in this movie. This movie has a 4% Rotten Tomatoes score and a 24% audience score. So even if it wasn't for the fact that a lot of fantasy comedies just do not do well, and we've seen it time and time again, we'll see how well Seth MacFarlane does, but that's different because he's kind of known for that. That's kind of his thing, is taking something sci-fi that you kind of know and making it really well, and you can see how well he did when he did that with Family Guy, and he did all of the Star Wars parodies. I don't think that this guy is going to be able to get to where he did. And it doesn't matter how charming the cast was. If he couldn't make it with the cast of movie 43, which is jam-packed, again, with talent, really good comedic actors, and Oscar winners, there's no way that this show about, like, 2 random dudes hired by the government to hunt ghosts is going to do anything. That's a sketch. That's not a show.
I don't know.
It's an original idea. Compared to the other shows, it's a fantasy comedy. It could survive because it's new and clever, and they were trying to sell it as Beverly Hills Cops meets Ghostbusters. That sounds really interesting. Whereas 9 and the letters, first of all, dumb name, but second of all, like, it's been done and it keeps failing. That's the problem.
Here's my argument. I think the guilt by association with movie 43 doesn't hold up because that was a Farrelly Brothers vehicle, and to say that because they worked on that they couldn't have any other success doesn't hold up because they've had so much success over the last 25 years.
But this isn't a Farrelly Brothers thing. This is particularly Tom Gormican, who only has like 2 or 3 credits on IMDb. He has not done a whole lot.
So he could be a rising star that we haven't found, and he's a diamond in the rough. We don't know.
No, we do know because we saw the movie. Like, we do know that he's not a diamond in the rough. His stuff sucks. And
I don't know. I wouldn't want to have my worst moment to be like, well, you can't ever do anything
maybe
good.
Your worst moment shouldn't be like actually legitimately tricking good actors into being in the movie by telling them that other good actors were in the movie. That's why it took 4 years to make, was because they were constantly saying like, well, he did it, don't you want to do it? And finding ways to trick agents. And The Good Doctor, again, that's created by the guy that made House. He made NYPD Blue.
He made House, and now he's making House again, and it's going to survive for another 8
I don't think so,
seasons.
because this is Doogie Howser meets House. It's 2 shows
Which
that
are
people
2
have
shows
seen
that are
for
awesome?
a long time with the exact same premise. Oh,
How many
he can't
different
relate.
CSIs do we have?
Hey, I'm not saying
and they're
that...
all the same show. And the thing is like, the guy that, like, medical dramas and legal stuff has the best shelf-life. That stuff can last for a decade. You look at something like a Grey's Anatomy, it is still on, it's 14 seasons, and it's another ABC show. So they know how to court their talent, especially when you see the way that they've courted Chandra Rhimes. If you think that they don't want to hang on to the NYPD Blue dude, they're going to. And it shows that they know how to properly position this particular kind of shows. And when you're looking at people who are doctors who are unconventional for whatever reason, maybe also typically because they can't connect with people, that's like a lot of these medical dramas, and they work. Bones worked. House worked.
Also, it has the guy from Bates Motel right? That's the star.
Everyone's favorite show who we
but
can all
he was-
name right now.
Freddie Highmore, everyone loved him in that show. He was great. And so the idea of him being the lead of another show, that's going to be successful. Mark Feuerstein, he did Good Morning Miami. Does anyone remember that show?
Okay.
I remember that
He
show.
also had a really
Nine-
good star. He also had a really good, not cameo, but he also had a really good part in West Wing.
Also,
Right, he had
9JKL,
good parts.
which is not a hard name to say, by the way. It's not about him moving back in with his family. He moves into an apartment in between
Adjacent.
his mom and
Right,
dad
no, I'm aware,
and his
but
brother and
the whole
sister-in-law.
story is that they keep coming into his house and
no.
they keep interrupting his life.
I
and
agree
his
that that's
mom keeps-
CBS's bread and butter.
People are going to watch it because it's going to be
Yeah,
right
but
in
CBS
between.
did it
young-
with the Millers and it failed.
Yeah, but it's gonna be
They
right-
did it with Bleep My Dad Head and it Bleep
It's
My
going
Dad
to be
Said and it failed.
right in between young Sheldon and a Leah Remini inspired Kevin Can Wait. That show is going to make it past one season.
What's up, Billy Business?
Oh man, all those shows sound pretty shitty.
So good.
They sound pretty bad.
Pretty
Pretty bad. A lot of the same shows popping up. Dax and a handful of other people saying Orville. Sammy says Young Sheldon. Corey said Inhumans, although I should say Inhumans is only half a season, and I believe they filmed the entire half, so you're getting the whole season
we're
whether you
screwed on
like
that
it or
one.
not.
Yeah, we're just going to get it.
Did
Spencer
anybody
said
go to IMAX to see it?
No.
Okay, cool. Good talk.
indicative of the quality of the show, I'm sure. Spencer said Kevin Saves the World, and Jeff said whatever the name of that CBS Jeremy Piven show that looks so bad I can't bother to make room in my brain for its title.
We all should have
Which is-
replaced
super
ours
fair.
with Wisdom of the Crowd.
Wisdom
at
of the
last
Crowd, which earlier
Keep repeating the name.
on
We just had a discussion
SJU,
about this.
yeah, on SJU on Monday, I said that I believe, and I made a bet with Spencer, I believe Wisdom of the Crowd will be the first show canceled this season.
Ooh, if you had been fighting today, that's what you would have
That's
picked.
absolutely what I would have picked.
You win, Billy. Billy gets the point. Put it on the
Thank
board.
you.
I actually have done crazier things than that on this show before,
Yeah.
but that's not what's happening today. You all did a great job fighting this. I'm really glad, Jonathan, that you pointed out that 9JKL is just like not that hard, guys. Like we are the generation who created ROTFL, rolling on the floor laughing. So like we can remember 4 letters or something like that. So that was not necessarily a knock against it. I did like the argument that it's in a protected time slot, and that means the network is putting a lot into that show, though. Because of that, if they are putting that much in, they probably will protect it for a season. Whether it's good or not, it's not the question. It's what's going to survive. For Good Doctor, the arguments against that was that, we've seen it before, and you were saying that that's why it would get, that was the argument for it, like this will get canceled because we've seen it. Plenty of shows that we've seen before run for like decades and decades. You guys did a good job countering that. I don't think that with fantasy comedies, it being original is a reason that it will survive. Original things actually tend not to survive a lot of times in society. That seemed to be really the only knock, other than that there are a couple of actors, but there's a couple actors on all these shows that people can hold on to. So because of that, Ghosted, Danielle, you got the point.
I felt really confident that this was a terrible show.
Oh,
They're
good.
all terrible shows.
Their pain is your gain in this situation.
the Orville somehow got unscathed out of this because I don't know,
we'll
it seemed
see.
too obvious.
There's a
haven't
lot.
seen it.
There's a
We'll
lot of
see.
them that's like,
That needs its own episode.
yeah. All right, Billy, talk to me about the webs.
This was closer than it has been in the last couple of weeks for some of these fights. 40%
for you
saying
guys.
40% saying The Good Doctor, 32% 9JKL, and only 28% for Ghosted. But again, all fairly close to each other.
Roxy getting the internet on her team. Always. Always.
Go
I
Beyonce.
really like all this singing.
Thank you so much.
it's very
I
spirited.
just feel a
I like it.
freedom coming over me that I'm going to sing all of the songs without. Okay, anyway, going on to round 2. This is coming from @FXM has the movies. Didn't mean to sing that one even. It just came out now that I'm used to it. What was the biggest snub of the 2017 Emmys? In case you guys are confused, 2017 was this year. The Emmys were this past weekend. So what was the biggest snub this year? Danielle, we're starting with you, making our way around the table.
All right, so for biggest snub, I went with no nominations at all in like anything for Insecure. Insecure is, it is a groundbreaking series. It's a great series on HBO. It consistently has it's consistently trending and has a lot of conversation and a lot of people talking about it. People did tune in after Game of Thrones to watch it. Everything from the fact that it is helmed by Issa Rae, who is incredibly brilliant and bright and smart. The show is very funny and relatable. It's the most relatable version of Los Angeles I think that most of us have ever seen. And the lighting on there is something else ridiculous, and I'm going to get into that later. So the fact that Insecure got absolutely no love from the Emmys is weird.
Jonathan.
I went with WestWorld walking away empty-handed. To me, WestWorld is a show that you'd think the Emmys would have given a lot of attention to because it's almost up there on achievement level with Game of Thrones, and they really like going after those epic achievements. It created this fully realized world with great actors giving superstar performances. Jeffrey Wright, Evan Rachel Wood, Anthony Hopkins. The fact that it got through the Emmys without getting any acknowledgement, despite, some mixed reviews at times, even though Game of Thrones has had that as well, was surprising to me.
Yo.
I said Millie Bobby Brown, who we all know as 11 from Stranger Things, did not get the Supporting Drama Actress Award, which was very surprising because she does an entire show where she barely speaks and we fall in love with this character. So that's why I think she got the biggest snub.
Can I just stop and say that you all three are disqualified because the question is clearly who was snubbed on the 2007 Emmys. And none of these
Private
shows...
practice again.
One more time. Where is it for ER? What are we doing?
Good work, JT, in
I
there.
just got so
Working
scared.
hard.
I was
Working
like,
hard,
this is
my
the
friend.
craziest show I've ever been on.
I'm so proud of you, JT. Really working hard. in
JT
there.
I would have had to do
So
some
mad
in-depth
at me.
research.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
in all fairness to him, he changed it really quick. Good job. Good job. The 2017. Now you're all qualified again. JT
There you go.
permits.
New question.
So now we can fight it.
So anyway, yes, she wasn't, Insecure wasn't nominated, so I don't count that as a snub because it's not like she had a chance to win,
That's classically a snub. If you don't get nominated in any category and you're one of the most talked about shows of the year, consistently talked about on social media, consistently talked about, think piece like crazy. And aside from all of that, it's just a really good show. Like I said, the
but it
Los
was
Angeles of
snubbed
the show.
for the
But
nomination.
you know what? I think
Yeah,
the
that's
question-
exactly why. Why wouldn't
It
you get
was
at least
snubbed
one
for the
nomination?
nomination, not of the
I
award.
think the question is vague enough that it says, what was the biggest snub of the 2017 Emmys? I feel like that could be nominations or awards. Not to,
What
like,
team are you on?
yeah,
I'm just
seriously,
saying,
You're not
if
right.
I see an argument that...
No, that's what I...
But I do think that a lot of times, what is this, the Insecure second season?
Yes.
I think a lot of times early on, shows that don't get a lot of attention and get consistent praise get nominations later. So,
Which goes great for Westworld, which got some nominations,
but a
then
show
didn't
like
get...
but a show like Westworld comes out big, like out of the gate. Everyone knows about it. Insecure has taken some time to build up an audience, got more praise this year, and I bet next year and the year after, not that it doesn't count this year, but that it's going to get a lot more attention in future Emmys. I also think for Millie Bobby Brown, I think this was Ann Dowd's award.
This was Ann Dowd's
to take.
award.
Look,
I
Ann
think
Dowd
It
is
was her award.
amazing,
No,
and I love The Handmaid's Tale, but her role in The Handmaid's Tale was not Emmy-worthy.
Sometimes it's the breadth of the performance. So like Ann Dowd for The Handmaid's Tale, and being on The Leftovers, and being mistaken for Margot Martindale on The Americans. It's for the breadth of work
Right, but
that
that's
Ann Dowd
also-
gets
and
over the
it's
course
also-
of the
that's
year.
not just for the award.
It's not
And
just for the
she's
breadth
a
of it.
kid.
She was
She'll get it.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what just happened?
No, she is amazing. Ann Dowd, it's not just like
we
the breadth
go.
of it, and yes, she does have obviously amazing work that she's been doing. But I don't want this to be one of those things where it's like Melissa McCarthy.
like, Jenny
Jenny
McCarthy
McCarthy.
won an
Remember
award?
that time she won an Emmy? But then Melissa McCarthy winning the Emmy, which was clearly to make up for other stuff.
Yeah.
Ann Dowd won this award to be able to convey so much confliction in that, like how conflicted that character is. Millie Bobby
She
Brown is
had
an amazing
all of these
actor.
amazing emotions and couldn't say words, and we saw what she was feeling.
I feel
We
like a
understood.
kid can't be snubbed. I feel like she's gonna get plenty of Emmys in the future, so
I
it's
also
not much
think-
of a snub.
And I think that she's amazing. I think that the role is very, very great.
Yeah, she's great.
I do think that there is a difference between playing a very incredibly sympathetic character like Eleven, who from Jump Street, obviously you feel bad for this kid and you feel terrible for them. And yes, she's great and she does some really good face acting. I think that there's a difference between
Hashtag facting, face acting.
Facting.
Yes.
I think that there is a difference between when you have something that is such a slam dunk, like such a sympathetic character, and you take someone like Andout in Handmaid's Tale, who is incredibly evil and unlikable, and the ability to be able to find humanity in a character like that, as opposed to finding humanity in literally like this gorgeous, beautiful, young, woman just before the bloom of her life, I think that there's a difference between that and being able to find this humanity in this like, older, beaten down, not about to become one of the most, because let's be, Millie Bobby Brown is going to grow up to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. Andout is already Andout. And so it's like, no, we do. I'm sorry. We convey, no, I think that she's gorgeous, but I think that we definitely convey a lot of our own feelings when it comes to the innocence of beautiful, young, blonde women. And
Brunette.
All right, we're getting a little off track. Remember that nobody here is fighting Andout. I get your point that Andout deserved it more than Millie Bobby Brown in this moment. Let's move on to something else.
I think of a snub as someone not getting an award that everyone expected to win. So my knock against Insecure in this category is not that it's not worthy as a show, but that it's not expected to win in all these categories. I think maybe in a year or two, if it doesn't win in a writing category,
I think it absolutely should have at least won. If you saw that there was a video that was going around where they specifically talked about the lighting in Insecure and how they were using techniques that hadn't been used a lot previously, because it's just a fact there are different ways that you have to light darker skin. As folks who are inside the industry, we all know that this is just like a fact and it's just a true thing. And so being able to pull something like that off, which they didn't really do the first season. And so the person that was in charge had to go back and now learn how to do these techniques because they wanted to make the show look better.
But was that a big discussion that Insecure wasn't nominated for a lighting technical Emmy like a week ago, like in the pre-Emmy Emmys?
It was a big discussion that they weren't nominated for anything, and the lighting on Insecure has been a huge discussion on Twitter and on the internet for the last week.
I would think if Insecure doesn't get nominated in or doesn't win in a year or two, then I agree with you. But I think WestWorld is the show that people thought, oh, this is going to win a lot of awards right now, which I think makes it the biggest snub.
I disagree. Yeah, no.
I loved it. I think that it's a really fun, very fun, sci-fi-y, pop sci-fi show. I think that it is one of those shows where there is a lot of additional... I don't know if it's necessarily additional meaning, but I think it's one of those shows where everybody kind of brings their own thing to Westworld, and that's not necessarily supported in the writing. And half of the reason why Westworld was so popular was because so many people had all of these fan theories. And then once it was discovered that these fan theories were either true or untrue, it was like, still a great show. I'm still looking forward to seeing what happens next season, but I don't necessarily know if the writing holds up.
So in these final thoughts, I want to hear a little bit. Yell, you can talk about what you want because I understand what your person was nominated for, but what do you feel like is the biggest snub about Insecure or about Westworld? What should it have won that it didn't, and what should have lost alternatively?
I think that when it comes down to it, Westworld was an amazing phenomenon during the time that it was airing. Everyone was talking about it. And Insecure is very much a trending and an on-topic show, and they're both wonderful. But Stranger Things has seeped into the world that we're in, and it is constantly something that people are talking about. I was afraid to watch it because I don't like scary things, but because it's still, even though it hasn't been on since whenever it was last on, I had to watch it because that's what everyone's talking about. And Millie's performance as a girl who can say yes and no and upside down is amazing. The amount of emotion you get out of a child, which, yes, she may have a future, but the fact that we see this come out of a child, which you don't expect children to be able to act that well. You expect children to be able to be cute. And so the fact that she can tell us everything in those eyes, she deserved to win the supporting actress in a drama.
I think that I grew up in an era where we did start expecting our kids, especially on something like a Stranger Things, which is a prestige show. We do expect our kids to be able to act on those now. I don't know how fair that is, but we do expect it. We're definitely, living in a post Sixth Sense world where we expect our kids to be able to do these things.
Everything post Sixth Sense we've been.
It just post six. So
You've got a pre-Haley Joel Osment mindset, I think is what you're saying.
I see.
For me, Insecure, not only was it great writing, great directing, the cinematography was amazing, it was also a series of fantastic performances. All of the lead actors on that show, Issa Rae is amazing, the woman who plays Molly, Lawrence, all of those, the supporting cast, all of those are amazing performances that absolutely hold up. And when you have someone like an Issa Rae who is an auteur, it is a little weird that you don't see her get nominated for a writing or a directing or a starring role, because she did do so much of the bulk of the show, and she is the reason why the show works. And I think that you can literally pick out any aspect of Insecure, and it should have been nominated. And I don't know about necessarily, I'm not arguing that it should have won every single award ever. I think that, and maybe it is because it's new, but I don't think that should be a deciding factor on whether or not something should be nominated. It's got to be on the quality and not necessarily on whether or not it's a new show.
To me, because of the visual scope of it and the breadth of the time and performances covered in the show, I think a directing award would have been reasonable and expected. And I also think Jeffrey Wright, Evan Rachel Wood, and Anthony Hopkins could have expected to win acting Emmys because of their performances and how this big, grand sci-fi show is really anchored on some human or not so human, wink wink, performances. Spoiler alert, some of them are robots.
What?
In WestWorld, some of them are robots.
Yes.
No way. Tomfoolery. I've never said that before. I don't even know where.
Natural.
It
I
really
felt-
did.
sounded
I didn't
natural.
have a weird accent on it or anything. Hi, Billy. Talk to me.
97 episodes in, and you figured out a new phrase for yourself.
Tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery. Speaking of tomfoolery, no, this has nothing to do with
Good
it.
transition, Billy.
Trying.
I'm behind it.
So there was some talk in the chat whether season 2 of Insecure was eligible for Emmy voting. It definitely was. Some people were mistaken. Now, something that was not eligible that a lot of people were bringing up was Game of Thrones, the latest season. So it
Should
was
have been
not,
nominated anyway.
it was not Emmy snubbed. It just wasn't Emmy eligible.
That's a snub.
Sure.
Game of Thrones should always be Emmy eligible
Just
whenever
no matter
it comes
what.
out.
I can't believe they didn't even have a little web short or something that they could get
In
nominated.
2007, it should have been nominated.
Charlie and a lot of other people said just Stranger Things in general was snubbed for best drama, so on and so forth. Brian said The Leftovers. Neil said
Yep.
Blackish. Jonathan Peck said Atlanta not winning for best comedy. I believe Donald Glover did pick up an Emmy.
He did win.
But
directing.
Atlanta did not win best comedy. Jamie said Dan Stevens from Legion. I don't think Legion was nominated
I don't
for
think it was.
much, if anything. Zaya said American Gods, which was also eligible, but just didn't get the noms. And Malik said, since it's 2007, I'm going 24.
At that point, 24 was in season 6 or 7, so
What
I
a
don't think
snub.
so.
It should have gotten some sort of legacy award at
Yeah,
least.
maybe 2004.
Oh, they did. Didn't they do 24 Legacy? Was that the name of the new show?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh, I'm changing my answer to 24 Legacy.
What was the one? It was 24 Legacy, and then there was 24 Live Another Die. Day.
Live Another Day. That was the one where
Live to
he came
Repeat.
back.
Die Another
Die
Day is
Another
a
Day.
James Bond film with Pierce Brosnan.
It was something like that. Live Another.
And
24.
Live Free or Die Hard is the fourth Die Hard movie.
One
Get
of them
Rich or
starred
Die
Dr.
Trying?
Dre. That's all I know.
What's
One
that?
of them
Get
starred
Rich or Die Trying? 24 or Get Rich or Die
Yeah,
Trying?
get 24 Get Rich. That
That's
one,
the
you're
one.
correct. That's the 24
I'm pretty
one.
sure that's what came back initially.
Get Rich or Die Trying. Bauer's done with CTU. He's like, I just want to make that money, baby.
Oh my God, I wish we had a pitch question right now. That would be amazing. Great arguments here for the Emmy snubs. Yes, to all of them. I think that these are all snubs. But the question is, what was the biggest? Yael, I'm coming to you first because I think that while Millie Bobby Brown did deserve to win. I don't think we can call it a snub if there are other people who equally, if not more, deserve to win. And I just think that the fact that she is so young, does have so many chances, and who she lost to was incredibly deserving doesn't mean it's a snub. It kind of means it's more of a toss-up. Like, it comes down to that. And I think you guys argued that very well. So this
disagree?
was between... I get that. This was between the people across the table for me. And this is a no noms versus no wins fight right now. And it's tough because, yeah, those are both true. That they should have been nominated. They should have won something. But I think when you're talking about the Emmys, the best point that was made is it's not just about what ends up happening that makes a snub. It's about what you believe is going to happen, and then it doesn't work out that way. With Insecure, we have seen time and time again, and it is messed up that we're not shining a light on some of the best shows and best creators out there, but I don't feel as if it had the expectation factor going in as much, and I do think that that is what creates a snub. So while all of these were snubbed, Jonathan with WestWorld, you get the point on this one.
Yeah.
They didn't get like a creative or anything either. No.
They give out 6,000 Emmys in the 2 weeks beforehand.
I know. I try to watch all of them.
Is that a real number?
No, that's a hyperbolic number, but they give out a lot.
I was going to say, I have been living under a rock if there's really 6,000.
If you're a grip, you're eligible for something.
Because I thought that they would at least have like some kind of like, creative Emmy or like, the guy who animated the robots or like something, and I couldn't find it. Yeah.
If that's true, I'm sure someone can point it out, and then it could be like no major Emmys, but I do not think it won anything.
Billy, talk to me.
There were really only, speaking of the poll specifically, there were really only two people in this fight. It was between WestWorld and Millie Bobby Brown. 46% for WestWorld, 40% Millie Bobby Brown, and only 14% for no nom for Insecure.
Yeah, that's why the snub part's hard, but we got to change that. You deserve a bigger percentage. Come on, 14%. All right, I just had a freak
Come on,
out.
14%.
Let's go with 14. Let's get that to 15 by the end of the show.
15 and a half.
And 3/4. Platform 9 3/4. What's happening? Round 3. Thanks, JT. All right, South Park's 21st season premiere made people's Amazon Alexas go crazy. See, now,
You kind of sung that.
go crazy. What is the best South Park episode to date? Jonathan, we're starting with you, and then making our way around the table.
I went with The Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers. It's a classic episode. I like this episode the most because it reacted to a cultural point in time, like the best South Park episodes, but without going too niche or without being insulting. It's a very good-natured way of parodying Lord of the Rings. It follows the structure of the Fellowship of the Ring, and it has classic moments from Cartman, Randy Marsh, Butters, and Jimmy. Some of the most quotable lines from those characters are in this episode.
Yeah.
I went with Make Love, Not Warcraft. Again, an episode that reacted to a cultural point in time. Was not good-natured so much, but that's because that's what South Park does. No one wants good-natured South Park. It also used gameplay footage and terminology, and it was really, really the most like, if you never played World of Warcraft, but you knew all these friends that did, you watch it and go, yeah, that's what's happening.
Danielle.
I went with Trapped in the Closet. Again, another one where it's reacting to something that's happening culturally, but I think that the thing that sets Trapped in the Closet apart is it does what I think only comedy can really do best, where it finds a way to not just make you super, super laugh about something, it also found a way to like educate you, which you're not necessarily expecting, but it did kind of sneak in there. And then all of a sudden now it brought a lot of these things to the wider kind of cultural conversation. Whereas, I'll fight that later. Don't fight now.
All right, let's hear it.
Let's fight it now.
So my fight now is going to be like, and I love both of the episodes that you brought up.
These are all great episodes.
They're all fantastic episodes, but those two are both, while they react, they don't say anything new, and they don't necessarily bring anything new to the conversation. And I think that the best of art and the best of comedy is when you can bring something new to the conversation. And Trapped in the Closet did that.
What does it bring to the conversation?
Trapped in the Closet?
Yeah.
Well,
What is your argument that that episode brought to the discussion of Tom Cruise maybe being gay?
no, not the discussion of Tom Cruise maybe being gay. It brought the discussion of Scientology, period. It was the thing that gave us the Xenu. It was the reason why half of the people on the internet were suddenly aware of like, oh, well, I've heard of this thing, but I didn't know that that was what this was. And that it had a huge cultural impact. They tried to take it down in a bunch of different places, and like they couldn't. There were like volleys of like possible lawsuits, and again, it was a thing that started the conversation. And when you go back and start seeing when people really start feeling comfortable about maybe criticizing some of the not great parts of Scientology, you get that through this episode. And again, I think that's the best thing that we can do when it comes to stand-up. I'm not that good yet, someday, but the best thing we can do when it comes to stand-up is you find a way to be able to have these conversations and talk about these tough themes and these tough things, but you do it in a way that's like you're making people laugh so you're not just at school.
Yeah, but I feel like all of these episodes did that, not necessarily on such a like dramatic scale, but still like the World of Warcraft, there was an epidemic. There was an issue. People, there was an epidemic. And this was a way to be like, hey, this is happening, but also stop being dumb.
I disagree that the Trapped in the Closet episode was really all that influential in terms of a national discussion about Scientology. One, nothing with Scientology has really changed. A few people left. We had Going Clear, which I think was as a documentary.
And
was
I don't
much
think
more...
you get that without having Trapped in the Closet.
I think you do.
I think Leah Remini would disagree.
Yeah, I think
She
you
has
get
a
that without
second
Trapped in the
season.
Closet.
Yeah, she has a second season. Again, these are all things that have happened after Trapped in the Closet. The best way
You think
to
that-
shed
but
light
even
on
if that-
something is through ridicule.
But even if that
That's
is
why
true,
the King's
that doesn't
Fool
make-
was able to like... The King's Fool was able to make fun of the king to his face and to say things that are true because he's being funny.
But that doesn't make it the best South Park episode. What makes
think
the
it
best
does.
South Park episode the best is like, is it the funniest and does it have those classic moments from across the vast character base, which I think the Lord of the Rings one does.
As does the Make Love Not
That's
Warcraft
also a
one.
great episode, but as someone who hasn't played World of Warcraft and doesn't really know many people who do, all I have is a vague notion, and I still found it like very enjoyable,
It
and I
even
like the
used
songs.
gameplay footage. It pointed out how absurd the World of Warcraft speak was. It taught us these terminologies that we may have heard our friends who play, or strangers who play, in your case, use, and it explained to us what it meant in a comedic and fun way. And it did have all of the classic South Park things, but it also, if yours is good natured, then that's not classic
But also,
South Park.
you guys-
South Park is skewering and rude.
Incisive.
You guys
and-
seem to think that the best South Park episode is the one that like taught us the most, and I don't think that's what it's supposed to be at all. I mean,
I think it definitely moved into that direction after a few seasons. And this is a show that has been on for like, since I was in an age. And this is a show that has been on for like decades, and it seems like
21 seasons, I believe.
Yeah, so what South Park does is every few seasons it then becomes about something else. It goes, it went from being, it was funny and it would kind of do commentary, and then it wasn't really its thing, and then it became very heavy into being about commentary, which is still something that it does now, and that is the power and the strength, and that's what made it, that's what gave it the longevity that it did, because I do believe that if South Park didn't start having more social commentary, it wouldn't have lasted as long as it did.
I would argue-
I think it would have ran out of
having,
steam.
having social commentary, but
I think it runs out of steam.
in a way that is entertaining and amusing.
Yes, not
is the
just
more
yelling
important
at
thing.
folks.
And I think that Make Love Not Warcraft was one of the most entertaining and relevant episodes of its time, and it felt so funny and smart, and also
I
South
would
Parky.
argue that Butters turning into Gollum from Lord of the Rings, or Randy Marsh and the rest of the parents describing a porno to the kids at the end of the episode are more memorable moments
Yeah, but a
than
character
the memorable
turning-
moments in that episode.
A character turning into Gollum, Big Bang Theory did that. That's not.
I
as,
don't remember. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never
Well, no,
seen
and
the
that
Big
is-
Bang
that's
Theory, but
the
like,
thing, it's
what's the
not a
most
clever and
memorable?
original.
It's great, but
moment.
it's fun, but it is a sketch. And with Make Love Not Warcraft, one of the great things about that episode, I love that episode, is that not only did it kind of clue people in on a lot of like Warcraft culture and gaming culture, it was like it showed about internet culture. The problem is that most of South Park's fans are like, they already knew that stuff. So this was a lot of like nod, wink, wink to their own fans, which is fun and great. Like I'm all down for, I'm not going to use the word I was going to say, I'm all down for a bunch of people around each other all enjoying the same thing in a circle. But like...
Circle jerking.
Yeah, I'm all about a circle jerk, but that's what Make Love Not Warcraft
You're welcome.
was, which is a fantastic episode, but it's definitely an episode that's like... For the fans.
I don't know where I'm going with this one. So in these final thoughts, what sets yours apart? Because you guys are all making like relatively similar arguments right now. What sets yours apart and makes it better than the other ones? We'll start with Jonathan on this one.
I think that if you ask the chat room, a large portion of which I would guess are South Park fans, to name some of the funny moments from each of our episodes, there will be more from my episode than yours, just because it has those touchstone moments that are the most memorable when it comes to South Park. From Make Love Not Warcraft, I remember the Butters getting the ninja star stuck in his eye, and the song about Protect My Balls. And from Trapped in the Closet, I remember R. Kelly singing I Was Just Standing There, Tom Cruise Locked Himself in the Closet. From Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers, I can rattle off Jimmy going, You Shall Not Pass. Butters talking about The Precious. All the men talking about Backdoor Sluts 9, which is the name of the porno in that episode. Cartman dressed up as Gandalf doing the wizard speak. Kyle saying he's not a Jew. Well, he is a Jew, but Kyle saying that's not the argument. Token saying I'm not going to watch this show anymore. All the sixth graders following them. Like, it goes on and on and on.
Okay, Danielle.
I think that a lot of those are great, but a lot of the moments that you mentioned are just moments that happened in Lord of the Rings, which is a great thing, but Precious is Lord of the Rings, You Shall Not Pass is already in Lord of the Rings. If you want to talk about memorable moments, I'll See You in England is a huge moment. You do have that really funny parody of the R. Kelly. You also had the This Is What Scientologists Actually Believe moment where it was flashing on the screen and everyone was like, oh, that's crazy. But again, for me, it's just as someone who has made doing comedy my entire life, the point of a good comedy is, one of the points of comedy can be, and when comedy is at its best, it's when it's talking about things that are real and it teaches you something you didn't know while also being blindingly, stupidly funny. And that is what Trapped in the Closet did. Not only was it teaching people things that they didn't know, it was like things that most people didn't know because it was like, they sued to keep those things secrets. So it wasn't just that like a lot of people didn't necessarily know about it. These are things that people did not have access to because they were things that you were prevented from having access to.
Yeah.
Although the Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers has all these memorable moments, Lord of the Rings has been played up in all these different shows and has had parodies, and there's even the porn parody, and Make Love Not Warcraft is not something that had been addressed on other shows. It's very rarely do we see games and specifically Warcraft. I mean, The Big Bang Theory barely even talked about it, whereas they did a basically same thing with Lord of the Rings. And Trapped in the Closet feels like Book of Mormon Scientology version. Book of Scientology.
As a Scientologist, I'm very offended.
Weird place to end on. Billy, talk to me about the interwebs, and also I want a little bit of your personal opinion on this one because this is a tough one.
Yeah, so I will say, look, everyone's throwing out, the best of the best. Kim says, Red Hot Catholic Love. Stefan said, Scott Tenorman Must Die. Zaya said, Casa Bonita. Dax saying, Imagination Land. TJ Dex, Medicinal Fried Chicken. My personal favorite is WTF when they did the backyard wrestling, because I'm a wrestling fan, and it was ridiculous. I loved it. With this argument, Look, I think I'm swaying towards, I think Jonathan's arguments were really strong. I don't think the Warcraft argument necessarily held up, that if you didn't watch it or you didn't play it, you didn't know it. Danielle made some really strong points too, but I think for this one, personally, I would lean towards Jonathan, but I'm glad I'm not judged because this one's tough.
Thanks. I'm having a hard time with this one because I think that they're all great. Jonathan, your argument boiled down to it just had more funny moments. That was the premise of your argument. Danielle, yours boiled down to it has funny moments, but it teaches you something, and that's what comedy does. And Yell, yours kind of boiled down to it being the most unique, not borrowing from other shows, being one of a kind, and that being what South Park does. So I think those arguments are all very true. It just depends on how you look at this. But why I tend to side with Billy a little bit here is because it has nothing to do with what is the most informational or what is the most. It's just the best, and having the most moments, I feel like does make for the best show on top of all of the funny specifics that you gave, and them all kind of having lessons themselves. Jonathan, you get the point on this one, but it was close.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I can't believe no one said Scott Tenorman must die.
I know.
That's up there.
I can't with the chili.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Like, it's
That was close. Billy, talk to me about the polls.
45% Make Love Not Warcraft, 30% Return of the Fellowship, and 25% Trapped in the Closet.
Have you guys been following what's going on in R. Kelly's life today?
It's nuts.
Yes.
Because I don't want to turn the show into that, but like, what the actual F is happening in the world? That's right. That's all.
Right,
I have
how
to say
could we be
about
surprised?
that.
We knew all this, what, a decade ago?
Yeah, I'm not
Yes,
surprised.
but also,
Yeah.
to quote a South Park episode titled WTF, then, I guess. All right, let's get into round 4. Thanks, JT. Literally taking a nap. Like, as he just woke up, he goes, sorry. No, he would like to share that he was not taking a nap. I don't know if they can hear that or just me, JT. Anyway, here we go. It's just me. He's just the voice in my head. Now it seems like I'm, all right. Stretching it out. It was recently revealed that Jennifer Lawrence originally auditioned for the role of Serena on Gossip Girl, which is why my comment at the top of the show is relevant, and it being the 10-year anniversary today is perfect. Billy and I planned that just perfectly, right, Billy?
Yeah, it has
On purpose.
no coincidence whatsoever.
Yep. So because of that, in honor of that, which TV show should Jennifer Lawrence join the cast of? Yell, we're starting with you and making our way around the table.
Orange is the new black.
Yell loves her mic drops, Danielle.
I said that she should go for Saturday Night Live. I think that she is a talented singer as well as being a talented actress, and that's something that can do you very well on Saturday Night Live. She's great at playing different kinds of characters. She's just kind of like inherently funny. With that, and has a way of being funny that makes it seem effortless. I think that she would excel at sketch comedy.
John.
I said The Handmaid's Tale. It depends on what the role is. I see Jennifer Lawrence playing like a spy, like she's a member of the aristocracy in that world, but she's trying to help the handmaids through some covert actions. So I think it's a new kind of role for her while keeping some of that Katniss Everdeen subversive quality to her.
Cool. Let's try it.
Cute.
So
What was that word? Goo?
I said cute. Cute.
Oh, cute. Okay.
in
Now
terms
we
of
can go.
SNL, she, I don't think, has a lot of characters that she can play. I think that she's really good at being herself and being a dramatic or a comedic actress, but I don't think she can do a variety of characters the way they do on SNL. As far as Orange is the New Black, that is a show where you have to be super dramatic, but you also have to be able to do the dark comedy, and that she does very well. She
See, I
does
feel like
sarcasm nice.
We already have enough of her on Orange is the New Black. Like, I feel like there's so many women on there that are like, if you squint, they're like, they could, you know what I mean? Like, they're very close in the way that they act, you know? Like, there's a lot of Jennifer Lawrences that are already on there. Comedic timing, everything else. I don't think that she adds anything to that show, because I think that there are already so many people on that show who have like versions of what it is that she does. Whereas I think on somewhere like an SNL, I think that she could stretch, and I think that she would be able to do a thing where she plays characters, and I think that it would be an opportunity for her to be able to grow, and I think she would actually add something to being on that cast. Whereas I don't think that for either of these shows, they have so many like great folks on them who are like already in her caliber that she doesn't really add anything new other than like, you know, I'm a little bit more famous than everybody else on here.
I don't know that that she adds anything to Handmaid's Tale, because I think that show is perfect the way it is and should not be messed with by.
You think Jennifer Lawrence could improve Orange is the New Black?
Absolutely. I think that with her coming in as a new inmate and dealing with the fact that everything's already been set up and she's new in there and has to, you know, find her way, find her crew, stay alive. I think she would do really well. Also, on that show, just want to note, on Orange is the New Black, we'd get to see her boobs. And that, I think, is a really important point.
I think that she would wind up being a distracting cameo on either of those shows. If we're talking about Jennifer Lawrence now, as she is now, it would just wind up being so distracting, where it's like, oh, this really bleak world, and there's Katniss,
But here's
hanging
the
out.
thing.
And
It wouldn't be
For
distracting.
Orange is the New Black, for a role on that show, I wouldn't buy it. Like, whatever that flashback episode is where we get to see how she got there, I'm not buying her as a down on her luck anything that somehow gets sent to that prison.
That's what would be so great. Her character would be another, like Piper, who wasn't, on her luck and was doing terrible things, and then ended up there to remind Piper of where she came from and how she got to where she is. To see Jennifer Lawrence go from, this wealthy, well-to-do girl to come into Orange is the New Black and be stripped down literally and figuratively down to this shell of a person, and see her then build, it would really show us these, she won an Oscar, let's see her use that talent.
Yeah, but I feel like we already saw that in So-So, right? Like when she came in, and she seemed like she was very much just in the same kind of like very privileged world that Piper had come from, and you do watch her get broken all the way down to the point where spoiler, her girlfriend gets super murdered.
Yep.
So like, I feel like we've already got the
Super
character
murder.
so murdered.
I thought that's a spoiler for me. I thought she just got regular murder.
Oh no, it was super murdered.
But also, I think for SNL, like, SNL is a place you go
When you
before you are
have-
famous.
Oh.
Like, once you are super famous, like you're already famous to a point, and then you leave SNL to start your movie career.
Or
You don't do
could
it the
be
other way around.
Or you could be a Melissa McCartney who would come in and do a couple of really great sketches and really good characters, and you'd be like, you know what? Maybe this is just what I want to do for a year. It could be like going back to like acting college, where she's like, I want to expand
But-
what I do.
Yeah, but
Melissa
But
McCarthy
she
didn't join
had-
the cast. This is a
Right,
join
but
the
she
cast
also
question.
had the skills to do the characters before she got there, whereas you're asking Jennifer Lawrence to go and use SNL as improv school or as sketch comedy school, whereas the SNL people, they have been doing it for years and have the skills and can make us laugh. And I don't know that she can. I don't know if you've ever improvised songs, but it's really, really hard.
I did it at the top of the episode.
It's really,
Nailed
really
it,
hard.
by the way.
Thank you.
And you know what? UCBIO and Groundlings got to make that money. Jennifer, go take 101.
Right.
Get in there.
Before you're going to try to go to SNL, I agree.
I think that she could absolutely go to SNL with exactly what she has right now.
I think she's great as a host. I don't see her joining the cast.
Exactly.
I
She's
don't
a
even think
great host.
She's a meh host.
I thought that she was a fantastic host on SNL.
She's no Justin Timberlake.
Well, okay, but Justin Timberlake is like,
Justin Timberlake.
She isn't.
Yeah, well,
she
he's
is in
also
fact
not.
not Justin Timberlake.
Right.
So.
that's just a
But-
provable fact.
But I don't think she
Off
needs
topic
to
a little
mess.
bit.
I can make that argument.
Totally relevant. I don't know that she needs to go and join The Handmaid's Tale, because we're still developing that world, and her sticking in there as a spy, that's Alexis Bledel's role.
But to me, I feel like she has an evocative enough face and personality. 'Cause one of the issues I have with The Handmaid's Tale, and I love the show, is the guy that becomes Elizabeth Moss's lover, like the driver. Can't even remember his name. Like, that's one of the most boring dull characters on the show. And I think if you have someone like her bring some pop to it and some real, like...
Oh, but I don't want... That show is not about, like, pop. It's not about, like, these... It's not about Katniss Everdeen coming in to save the day at the last minute.
I don't think it's
and
saving
also,
the day.
We've kind of already seen her do the dystopian thing. We watched her do it for, like, 3 movies. I don't think I want to see her do another, like, oh, this is a weird area where some people dress like this and some people dress like that, and, you know, everyone's sorted into sections. We've already kind of seen her do that. I don't know that I necessarily want to see her do that again.
I don't think you would see it in the action movie style. I think this is, like, very, like, mood lighting. I think it's... I don't know if this will help my argument, but I think it's closer to Mother than it is to Hunger Games.
And I think that what winds up happening is as soon as you put her on A Handmaid's Tale, or as soon as you put her on Orange is the New Black, the show immediately becomes the Jennifer Lawrence show. And I think that if you did it with SNL, I think that she would be able to do more characters where it isn't just about her. And if you've seen, they do that with hosts all the time, where they find a way, if you're someone who's not necessarily great at talking, I won't say names, but there have been hosts
Donald Trump.
there, Ronda Rousey, who aren't necessarily great at the talking, so they have them be a character that's like, well, you're not the lead in this sketch, you're just gonna
not
be here.
great at the talking. I think Jennifer Lawrence is pretty good at the talking.
She's great at the talking, but I think it's also, she wouldn't have to be, if you put her in something like an SNL, she could be like another character actor person. If you put her in, because both of your pitches, you have now centered the show around her.
Oh,
I don't think so.
I think you misunderstood. First of all, she doesn't have the skills to do SNL. That's just, she doesn't have those skills. But with Orange is the New Black, she is a new character that doesn't, if you've seen the show, each episode will center on a different person and it will eventually bring it to the whole story altogether. And so she might get an episode and then be part of the people in Litchfield or wherever they end up now. You know, they're going to a new prison in the new season, spoilers, and therefore they'll meet her and she'll be this new person and she'll remind Piper of how she got there and bring the show back to the center, which was Piper.
With her contract, would she be cool, like, showing up for one of those, like, half days when she's not really in the episode? She just shows up in the cafeteria, or does she have to be the center of everything?
I think that if you put her in there, I think you want to have her be the center of it, and I think that's where it's...
In these final thoughts, because we got away from this a little bit, so it's which show should she join the cast of? How is she joining? What is her role? How long is she staying? What is she there to do? Who is she interacting with? Things like that. Yeah, let's start with you on this one.
She's joining the new season when they move to the new prisons that they're at. She is going to be a new person who just arrived at prison in general, not just at the new prison where we have taken Piper. She's going to be there for the rest of the season. Not every episode is going to be about her, but her role is to remind Piper, who is the lead of the show, even though it is an ensemble, she's kind of the lead, that's how we got there, to remind Piper how she fell so hard and is now stuck in prison. And I will repeat what I said earlier, we will get to see her boobs.
Okay, Danielle.
I feel like if she wanted us to really see her boobs, she's had opportunities to do so by now.
Have we not?
No, I didn't. I will say that right now.
Saw that leak.
So my argument for her joining the cast of SNL is that I think that she's a more versatile actor than anyone else is giving her credit for. I do think that she's able to sing. I think that she's able to stay on her feet. And she's not necessarily, you mentioned improving a song or improving whatever. SNL's not improv. There might be some of that involved if you wind up having to like catch a moment or do something else. SNL isn't improv. It is very, very painstakingly crafted show over the course of a week. And I think that as a cast member, she would be able to come in, and I think that not only would it be an opportunity for her to show people that she can do more than what she's been doing, in much of the same way that when Don Draper, see, and I just did it, when John Hamm was being so like locked into that Don Draper character, the first thing he did was like, oh, well, I'm going to do more comedies and I'm going to play more different types of characters, and it's going to show my range as an actor. And that worked out. I feel like it worked out well for him, or else he was just going to get stuck being Don Draper in everything he did.
But John Hamm is a trained comedian.
And that's the opportunity. And I think that that's the opportunity that she could take as well.
I think Jennifer Lawrence joins the cast of The Handmaid's Tale. I think she becomes one of the wives. I think she is on the side of the resistance, and I think Offred recruits her to try and do the business with, why did I say it that way? To do the business with Joseph Fiennes to try and break apart whatever family structure she's working under.
Billy Biz, talk to me.
Yeah, so
Do the business.
Jennifer Lawrence hosted on January 19th, 2013. Reviews were not kind to her. In fact, Huffington Post
4 years
said
ago.
Jennifer Lawrence's odds were not in her favor.
They couldn't wait to do that.
That being said, you know, sometimes with SNL, it all depends on the sketches you're given. So there's that. Awesomeness said he wants to see Jennifer Lawrence on Flash so she can lighten the tone back up. Duke also said J-Law could save Iron Fist Season 2 from itself. Bob says J-Law could probably help out this 9JKL, which could very well be on its way out.
She'd be great.
They have a new neighbor.
No, she's in 9M, so it's 9JKL, MNOP.
Yeah.
Ryan says The Walking Dead. Dax says Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And Nas says Glow. I would love to see Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh,
in Glow.
yeah.
The Walking Dead. What is she doing?
As a zombie?
I guess a zombie
Imagine
killer.
she's
Maybe
just a
she's one of
walker, like-
Negan's wives. I don't know.
Oh, God. Get her out. Get her out.
I really want to see her on Glow now.
Yeah, that's a great choice, actually.
Damn it.
Glow gets the point. This one was tough, too. You guys are doing a great job. Initially, Danielle, I was going with you on this one because I feel you, but then I feel as if you were Jennifer Lawrence's agent in this moment, and like you wanted this for her, not the show as much.
I'm an advocate.
Like
what can I say?
Like she needed this for her next career step, and I didn't really hear why the show would necessarily benefit as much as J-Law would. You did think she could do it, but it was more about like changing her path and getting her that experience. Because of that, and because I want it to be about the performer as well, but about the show, this was between Yell and John. Nathan.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. It's hard. I think that one of them was a little more fleshed out on why we had to bring in a character. For Jonathan's, I feel like we thought, all right, we have Jennifer Lawrence. Where can we plug her in? For Yell's, I feel like this is a role to have. Who can we get in it? And Jennifer Lawrence would fit that. Because of that, Yell, you get the point for Orange is the New Black. It was a close one.
Did the boobs help?
And the tits help, for sure.
You know what? It's
I'm gonna
funny
change
is
all my
that
other
a lot of
words.
people in the chat are also mentioning how you brought up boobs on movie fights. So this seems to be a theme with you,
Yell and
Yell.
I off air, which does not change my opinion. Like I do not give her points because we are friends. She talks about boobs a lot. It's a topic of conversation.
Also good. My Twitter and Instagram.
Good plug. Good plug.
Well, let's see what the poll says. 42% says.
Did JT just clap for boobs?
Yes, he did. Orange is the New Black, 42%, 29% SNL, and 29% Handmaid's Tale. So,
Wow.
yeah, a little bit of fighting between those two, but a close round.
I get that. All right, this is anybody's game right now. Yell with 1 point, Danielle with 1, Jonathan with 2, going into round 5. Are we ready for this?
Yes.
Yes.
I love the quick response. The quick
Yes.
response time. I was going to make a bad joke about being first responders. It's too soon. Here we go. And then I said something anyway.
You know what? In this post-Haley Joel Osment world, we can't be talking about first responders.
It's true. It's true. All right. What TV show's world would you want to visit for a weekend the most, a la WestWorld? So where do you want to go for the weekend? We're starting with Danielle on this one, making our way around the table.
All right. For the world that I would want to visit for a weekend, I would want to visit the world of Doctor Who. The benefit of visiting the world of Doctor Who is that it's not just one world, it's many worlds. Not only do you get to hang out in the TARDIS with an alien with 2 hearts, and the TARDIS itself is obviously amazing. There's a pool, there's a million different rooms, but you also get to go throughout all of space and time. So you can be there when the universe begins, you can be there when the universe ends, you can go back to any point on your own timeline, which is the thing that they do now. And that's why I would pick Doctor Who, is because it opens up possibilities for basically everything.
Jonathan.
I went with Mad Men. I would love to go to the world of Mad Men, which is being an attractive white male in 1960s New York City, which is like winning the jackpot. If that's what you get to do, if that's your amusement park, you get to go see the Beatles at Shea Stadium, you get to see Mickey Mantle bat for the Yankees, you get to drink whiskey with abandon and show up hungover and late for work with no consequences whatsoever. If we're talking about what world do I want to be an amusement park, it's that one.
Just to be clear, the question is, which would you want to visit for a weekend? Yeah, continue.
I chose the world of the magicians. In the world of the magicians, not only do you have magic, but you also have really cool school like Harry Potter. You've got a whole world called Fillory where humans go and are king and queen. So I would definitely go to the magician's world.
Let's fight it.
Here's the problem. We're not even going to talk about Mad Men because as a woman, not going there.
Well, it's like I can already do that. If I'm Doctor Who, I can go back and see any of the cool things that you mentioned, which they do on the show. So I can already do any of the cool things that you just did in your Mad Men just by being on the world of Doctor Who.
Want to go back to Mad Men world?
They do it all the time. That's what alien magic is for.
No. I'm asking if you would want to go there. I don't want to go there.
I am saying you get to go as an attractive white man.
I get to
and
go
live
be
that
an
life.
attractive white man.
You get to live in the who has a better life than an attractive Don Draper type in the 1960s?
Kings and queens in Fillory who have magic. Whereas the problem with Doctor Who, I say this as a Whovian, the problem with Doctor Who is that you run the risk of dying. You run the risk of ruining your life by messing with your own timeline. And depending on who the Doctor is, he might just tell you to sit in the TARDIS and not let you have any fun, even though you can.
But then you totally escape because everyone always escapes. And with the magician...
Everyone always escapes. Do you want to talk about Danny Pink? You want to talk about Bill? You want to talk about...
I feel like in the magicians,
Rose?
there's definitely opportunities where you can die. And also, the idea of school is like, that's why I didn't pick Harry Potter, man. I'm done with school. I ain't going to school. If I'm going to go to a land where I'm going to know everything...
School?
No, I want to go there already knowing all of the stuff. If I'm going to spend a weekend there, I don't have time to learn magic in a weekend.
Okay.
I want to go and it's just something I already have access to, like you do with all of the magic-esque science in Doctor Who. It would just already be there for you. Plus, you would have a guide who would be able to take you in there that would be innate because you would have the Doctor who knows the rules, and you're not going to be quite as bumbly as you would in any of the other
Right, but you would
worlds.
have the Doctor who's going to take you, see danger, be like, let's explore that.
Yeah, that's why you go.
You might die. Whereas in The Magicians, as long as you choose, like Westworld, you choose which story you want to go to, there's only one story that's probably going to kill you. All the other stories aren't. Whereas Doctor Who, there's a good chance you'll die.
Here's the thing. I took this question to be like, it says, what TV show's world would you want to visit for a weekend a la Westworld? Which means you are going to a theme park for the weekend where you can do anything you want in this world, just like Westworld. So I thought, okay, like what would be these theme park attractions I want to go to? For me, Doctor Who, that means it's everything. It's not specific enough. If Disneyland is just the happiest place on earth because it's everything, everywhere, all the time, that's not specific enough. I don't know what to do. If your argument
But it
is
also
you can
is
just
because
go
you can go to
anywhere.
Disneyland, you can go to Disney World, you can go to Epcot Center, you can go to California Adventure. Disney
But
World
you know what I'm
is
saying?
yeah,
That like
it's
Doctor
already-
Who is like, oh well, if you want to travel back to 1383, you can, or you can go to 2296. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. Thank you for making my point for me.
But this is a theme park, so they can't do everything, right? Can they do? I mean, can we bend space
Yeah,
and time?
you know what? There was not any restrictions that was put on there that said that they couldn't do those things.
I mean, look, I guess so. If you go to the Doctor Who world, you can just go to all of these.
To
You can go
with
to
your
ours.
theme park analogy, right? The Magician's theme park would be similar to Harry Potter World at Universal, where you can buy the special wand, do the special trick, and magic happens.
And hopefully you don't get like sick on the ride because it's all like 3D and stuff. Never mind. Have you guys been to Harry Potter
yes.
World? Okay.
So you learn your magic movements, you do them in the park, and you are doing magic there. You get to go into the world of Fillory, which is beautiful and hilarious. They do lots of drugs and drinking. Therefore, on the Magician's World, you will have lots of bars. You will have pot readily available. You will have a great time.
And which is fun, but you mentioned Harry Potter World. We do kind of already have a Harry Potter World, which was going to be way cheaper than going to the Magician's World. You can get a pass for that. And it's California. California, so you can just get pot.
I feel like
and
your
bring it
guys'
into Harry
arguments
Potter
are
world.
like a genie gives you a wish and you're just wishing for more wishes. And it's like, I don't know. It feels like cheating to me to be like, well, in these magic worlds, you can just do anything all the time, and you
Yes.
don't actually have to make a theme park because the
I
theme
just
park
gave
is
you the
here's a
theme
wand.
park.
You
Well,
get to do whatever you
the
want.
great thing about WestWorld is that it is like a genie gives you a thing. When you walk into WestWorld, you're like a hot person who gets to bang hot
But
robots.
it is the Wild West, and you do Wild West things
And
specifically.
you run the risk of, I know Westworld, they're not supposed to be able to kill you, but they can. And
they-
therefore,
yeah.
in your world,
And they do
no
also
one
have
ever
other worlds.
dies.
doing a world
They
where
also have
the
other
theme park
worlds
can
because they
break
have
down
samurai
and
world.
kill
They
you.
have
All
samurai
right,
world.
a couple of quick things. Number one, nobody is fighting Westworld, so we don't need to talk about that show anymore. Number two, the question is just what world would you want to visit for a weekend? A la Westworld is an example of a world that you like. What kind of world? A la Westworld. So you can take this, interpret that question how you please, but you do not have to specifically pitch the show as a theme park. Just for you guys, for freedom of this. I need final thoughts here from you. We're going to start with Danielle on this one. What makes your world better? Don't just give me, you can go anywhere, do anything.
The thing that makes my world better is that not only, yeah, and yes, you can go anywhere, you can do anything, but it's also about like, you get to hang out and you get to learn like, the thing that sets Doctor Who and the Doctor Who world apart from everyone else is that it's not just going and beating up the bad guy. It's not just going and killing something. You actually go, and the show is hugely about compassion. So when you go, you would be able to get this opportunity to not just go to the 60s and do really fun 60s stuff, not just go to the past and do really fun past stuff, but it's also about like an opportunity to connect with your doctor and connect in the TARDIS, and the opportunity to, you're not worrying about going and killing things. It's not something violent. If it happens, that's a thing that might happen. But mostly it's about learning compassion and open-mindedness. And that is a huge crux of Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah.
The magician's world would be adult Harry Potter. So if Westworld was adult Woody from Toy Story.
Very adult Woody from Toy Story.
So you take magic, you don't have wands, you do magic with your hands, which makes it even cooler. You have this magical world. So you have magic in our world, and then you go through another world door like Chronicles of Narnia, and you are in this world of Fillory where you, because you are human, become a king or a queen and rule over this land. You get magic, you get to do cool things. If it was a theme park, it would be like Harry Potter Land, where you can do cool things with your magic skills that you've learned. And it's a lot of sex and drugs and drinking, and that's what people love about magicians and Westworld and life.
Jonathan.
I think, I think you simplified my argument for me. It's what world do you want to visit for a weekend? I want to visit the 1960s and do a bunch of cool 60s stuff.
Billy, talk to me. These get harder and harder, man.
Yeah, I mean, this one it's a weird question. I mean, it's which one would you want to go to? It's
I
tough.
love when you and I write these questions together,
then we're
and then
like-
on the show we're like, this is a weird question. This is a hard one to pick. It's like, we did this.
Because I don't know, I feel like you can make good arguments for any fun TV show, except
As you
like
guys did.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, except for that one, yeah.
Actually, someone I can't. It went by too fast. But someone was like, "I would choose Handmaid's Tale if I could change it." I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to spend my weekend doing that.
Trying
That
to
sounds like
change.
chores.
Yeah,
Change
that's-
Why do I
a
want to go do
weekend.
Yeah.
chores?
I really don't want to go to Handmaid's Tale World.
Some cool or interesting choices. TJ Dex said Camp Anawana from Salute Your Shorts. Eric said the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Neil wants to go Space Jam style into the world of Looney Tunes. Mouse Army said Tailspin. Samantha said, can I just live in One Tree Hill where everyone looks like a model and becomes rich and famous out of high school?
That's any show from CW.
And Malik said, curb your enthusiasm so I can yell at people and tell them to F off. Dude, you could do that now
You
for
can.
free. You don't have
Drive
to
to
go
Santa
anywhere.
Monica right now.
Just go outside and do it. It's free.
It does help if you're
Yes.
super rich and you created Seinfeld.
That is
though.
our advice for you
does
here at
everything.
TV
Get
Fights.
$500 million and then you can tell people to fuck off all you want.
All right, so Jonathan, you already had 2 points going into this, and it's a good thing that you had secured your place in the speed round, because for this one, man, you not only, I mean, you specifically didn't necessarily have to change who you were, but you were like, you're going to a new place, you're a new person. You took a lot of liberties on this one.
That's what going to a theme park is about.
Changing,
in WestWorld,
possibly changing genders.
I think I took a la WestWorld very seriously.
Yeah, I think you did. There were some good things about it that you could do, like seeing Mickey Mantle. That's pretty cool. Drinking a lot of whiskey, but they weren't things that we couldn't. The Mickey Mantle part we couldn't do on the Magicians. Doctor Who World you could do. So because of that, this was between the ladies. And these were tough. Danielle's argument that whatever you want, whenever you want, you do it, is really strong. Yelle's argument that there's magic and you can do it with your hands is very strong. And I agree with both of those. I think that the knock against Yelle's that you're done with school, I think she wasn't necessarily pitching that that's the only thing you have to do. And to me, the stronger knock was that Danielle's could be a little overwhelming until a weekend. And that's everything. And how do you pick and what do you do? And Jonathan made a good point that's just like everything. What do you look at? So I think because it's not visit for life or for a month, it's just a weekend. What would be the best place to go? Yelle, you get the point for the Magicians on this one. It was close though. Crap, Billy. Tell me about the web.
The web went 50% Doctor Who,
I get that.
29% Mad Men, 21% The Magicians.
Because they haven't seen the
Yeah,
Magicians.
Yeah, because
probably.
they haven't seen the Magicians.
Once they see it, they'll understand.
Or it's because these are hard. At this point, when you have 3 bomb fighters up here, it's like you all convince me of everything. Every time one person says something, I'm like, that's where we'll go. Like, that's what we're doing today. Because of this, Danielle, you're going to be my second judge here at the table. We will figure out who is going to bring home the TV Fights victory for the day. Yelle, Jonathan, do you guys know how these speed rounds work? Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. I ask a question. You guys give me answers. You have 20 seconds each to fight, 10 seconds to rebut. Is that clear?
Yes.
I love when you guys respond again. The first responders. You have 2 points each going into this. Does it get better the more I say it?
I think it's now funny.
I think you crossed the threshold.
I'm taking groundlings, and they tell me if I say something not funny, if you just say it a lot more, that sometimes it becomes funny. And
they're
so
right.
I'm using
You
that in
can't
life.
give out those tips to the public.
Yeah,
those
that's
are
like a
expensive.
$200, $300 tip right there.
Yeah.
Didn't get a laugh, just do that shit
I
again.
think that one of my first scenes, I did some like ISIS something, and they're like, "See, yeah, that's not funny, but if you do it a lot, sometimes you'll get a laugh."
It's
You
the
gotta-
Family
you gotta
Guy.
commit.
You gotta do the Family Guy repetition where it's just
Yeah.
you do it so much, then it's funny.
Yep, totally. Not relevant though. All right, so here we go. Tied going into this. Here's the first question. What was the best moment from the Emmys?
I'm gonna say anything but Sean Spicer being there at the Emmys.
The best moment. Pick a moment.
It was when Nicole Kidman gave her amazing speech about women and fighting domestic violence.
Nicole Kidman speech.
Best moment of the Emmys. I think it is seeing, and I'm blanking on her name, the first woman to win a directing Emmy for drama.
Lena Waite.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
not
for drama.
Oh, for drama.
For drama.
Got it right.
In 22 years. That was a really powerful moment because
Wait,
I didn't.
don't fight it yet.
Oh, okay.
We gotta get the
name.
and then you'll be going second because
Got
you
it.
said it first.
Got it.
I know in normal conversation how it works is
Is
you say
it
something then you.
I'm only versed in normal
Is
conversations.
it Reed Morano?
Yes, that's it. Reed Morano.
Great. Yeah, we'll be starting with you whenever you're ready.
Nicole Kidman's speech was important and powerful, and she, as an amazing actress, used her platform well, and that's why it was one of the best moments from the Emmys, because she took advantage of her opportunity and went, I'm not going to waste this and just thank a bunch of people that no one's heard of. I'm going to make a statement, and I'm going to, do something great.
This is my time to go.
Yep.
Yes.
Reed Morano, I think it was a big moment because when that happened, I said, oh my God, I didn't know it had been 22 years. And it's one of those moments that when it happens, you're like, that's like incredible. That's even worse than I thought it would have been. Like, seriously, I was like, oh, I would have said like 12, and that's awful. The fact that it was 22 and
But you didn't know that it was a big deal, whereas Nicole Kidman talked about something that we do know is a big deal and needs to be addressed, and used her opportunity to talk about it, whereas this is something that you were like, oh, what a fun fact, I didn't know that.
It's more than a fun fact. It's an important thing for, like, society. I think Nicole Kidman having won tons of awards, there's only so much impact she's going to have in her.
Remember before we go to the speed rounds, I'm like, does everybody know the rules of the game? And you guys are like, yes, we do. Just reminding you guys of that moment.
Round.
You gotta commit to your answer, even if that answer is a blank stare.
Danielle, what do you think based on these?
Oh, this one's really hard. Because
we can't use our personal opinion, so
yeah,
just based off the arguments.
That one's super hard.
Want me to come back to you?
I like the Kidman answer because as important as Reed was, there were a lot of firsts at this Emmys. Like a lot of firsts at this Emmys. And if that's the argument that you're basing it on, then I can think up at least 2 more firsts off the top of my head and like maybe a more if I Googled it. Oh, but this is hard.
Billy?
Yeah, this wasn't so hard for me. I think Yale's arguments were way stronger, and I truly didn't understand Jonathan's rebuttal about Nicole Kidman. It didn't make sense to me, so I'm going Yale.
Yeah, I think that if we had heard that, you know, it was not the best moment because she got 20 more seconds than Sterling K. Brown did, and so that it was outshined, or if there were negatives about it, but just the fact that she's won more awards it wasn't a knock on it. And for yours, I think Yale at least talked about how people didn't know it was a big deal, even if it was, and Yale, it shined a light, and everybody was aware of it because of the words she chose. Yale, you get the point on this one. Going into this next question. James Corden is taking a lot of heat for kissing Sean Spicer at the Emmys. Who would be the worst TV character to kiss?
Charlie Harper.
That pile of trash that they go to for advice from Fraggle Rock.
Great. Starting with Yale.
Charlie Harper, played by Charlie Sheen from 2.5 Men, is not only a womanizer and a booze hound and smokes cigars. Kissing him sounds like kissing a pile of trash, because that's what he is. And the character will treat you poorly afterwards, will forget your name, and you don't want that. Also, he's going to taste like cigars.
The pile of garbage is a literal pile of garbage. You have to kiss cigars, wrappers, filthy food that people have eaten and discarded. You might get sick, whereas Charlie Sheen is at least a human being with clean skin on television that we know of.
But in the pile of trash, I don't know if you've ever thrown away food in a container. There's a good chance you could be kissing something clean, like the container. Whereas Charlie Harper, the character, is not clean.
There is, a 10% chance you might kiss something clean in a pile of garbage. Chances are not. Charlie Sheen is a human being who I think is probably a pretty good kisser because he has a lot of experience doing it.
And we're fighting Charlie Harper, not Charlie Sheen. Yeah. All right, Billy, coming to you first on this one. What do you think?
Oh man, this was tough because they both were not great. So
but before you give your answer
Sure.
for who had the better arguments, what would you rather kiss?
I'm
just curious.
This is so messed up, but
That I'm making you do
probably the
this.
trash.
Okay, just
probably the trash.
Just checking. Now, not using that,
Personally.
not using your personal feelings.
Using the arguments.
Yeah.
Probably going Yell.
With Charlie Harper.
I mean, just because of the audacity to say there probably is like some clean stuff in the trash. So if you just really were aiming correctly, you could kiss something cleaner. I don't know.
Like a container.
This round got away from us really
Like a
fast.
container.
What do you think, girl?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that one of the main differences that Dio brought up is that Charlie Harper is just mean and he would be mean to you afterwards, whereas like the trash might get you sick, but I think the trash would bring you soup after. Whereas, like, I do, and the trash was like you went to him for advice because he's kind.
You are just making things up.
That's an argument. Yeah, trash cannot move.
Well, no, but I just like I think that the big part of like it is important that he is mean, and people do dumpster dive. That is a thing that people do, and your mouth might touch some stuff while you're in there. It is a real thing.
I love that you're definitely still the third fighter. You're like, here are the other arguments that could have been made.
Those are excellent
here's
arguments.
the deal. These are two great answers for two very different reasons.
God, they're so good.
Charlie Harper, for obvious reasons, although we did there is a blurry line between the character and the person.
I was fighting the character.
Yes, I know you were. You were back and forth. And the pile of trash, I think, was great too because it's a pile of frickin' trash, which like you made very, very clear. It was less the 10% argument for me though, and more the fact that we're talking about in the aftermath. You briefly mentioned that you could get sick, but you didn't really elaborate on that. And maybe if you kissed the container, you wouldn't. But getting treated like crap afterwards, not having somebody remember your name, like a pile of trash, you're not going to expect that. So I think you made a good job making the points of afterwards what happens. You have to live with that. So, Yell, you get the point on this one. And therefore, we have put ourselves in a must-win position. So you got to get this point, Jonathan, in order to stay in the game.
That was such a surprise.
They're both named Charlie.
I think that's the way math works, right, Billy?
Yes.
Trash.
Sometimes.
Cool.
Sometimes
If
on
it's
this
best
show.
of 5, I didn't ask about the rules beforehand.
It might be.
It is.
If it's best of 5, then
It is.
yes,
Yes.
I'm in a must-win
You are
situation.
in a must-win
Yes, it is.
situation.
All right, this one I need to explain slightly because Billy didn't
Yep.
know what this was, and you guys might not either. There is a mad pooper on the loose. This is a real thing. There is a woman out there. They're calling her the mad pooper, and she is dropping trow and crapping on people's lawns. And they're trying to catch her. This is a real,
This is a
real news story that's taking place right now.
Where?
Oh God, I have so many jokes I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, they believe she's been doing it for about 7 weeks now. This is a whole different conversation.
Okay.
At least she's regular.
Yes, true. But so the mad pooper. Whoa, what, JT? Oh, she's jogging. JT is telling us she's jogging. She's got
How do they know?
some-
By analyzing the poop?
The speed, they just grab like
Yes,
their
I-
footprints.
someone was running when
People
they...
are calling into the cops because they're watching it in front of their kids, and this woman just sprints by and craps and runs.
Anyways.
She's the mad pooper.
Okay.
Which TV character's lawn would you want to take a crap on the most?
I'm trying to think of a TV character with a lawn these days.
I know that was a tricky one too. It doesn't have to be these days though. Any days.
I'm gonna go with the Brady Bunch.
With TV character, so you're gonna pick
Marsha's.
Danny Tanner.
Marsha Brady, Danny Tanner. Yell whenever you're ready.
Okay. Marsha Brady needs to be taken down a peg, and I think that this is the way to do it, is to show up at the Brady home, which I know where the exterior is located, and do this to show her that she needs to be nicer and respect her sisters more, and I think that that's what she deserves, is me to jog by and drop a deuce on her lawn. Because they have a pretty lawn and they take good care of it. And I think that that's why.
Sorry,
I'm not going into this today.
I know I'm supposed to be timing this.
Okay,
I'm just bamboozled by I can't believe we let this
So
one
there's-
through. Now that we've gotten to this point, I'm like, how did we let this question
I
through?
losing
No. Your time will start when Billy stops talking and does his job.
Sorry.
Love you, Billy.
Go for it. Go for it.
I think if someone takes a poop on Danny Tanner's lawn, there's a lesson to be learned here. Danny gets all the family out there. They're all cleaning it up. They're all taking a different piece, and they're all learning, this is what happens if you are a mad pooper. We have to learn responsibility. We're all going to clean it up, because if you don't go in a toilet, this is what happens. Whereas Marsha Brady, not cleaning that up. She makes Jan do it.
I totally understand that it would be a moment to learn, but Danny has his brothers, has Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey, who would come after you. I use brothers lightly. Would come after you.
I think they'd have to do this as a family and discuss first. It would be about the cleanup process, not about the revenge. Whereas I think about Marcia, it would be about like her personality. Like, oh, can't believe someone did this to me.
All right. What's happening? Unclear on how much time everybody got, what's happening, but that's okay because this was a crap round.
I could have watched this argument go on for several minutes.
Sometimes I get usually I pitch ideas and either Billy or JT or Andy or somebody in the room is like, that's too weird. But today I caught Billy in a weird moment and he was like, yeah, let that one slide. And I was like, yes.
By weird moment, we were trying to do speed rounds in not enough time. I was like, yeah, sure.
He's like, yeah, that's a good one. I was like, I got one.
This was your one for the year.
So victory for me, exactly. What do you think based on these arguments?
Oh my gosh, this is really, really, really tough. And I am honestly surprised that no one mentioned that Danny Tanner is a neat freak.
Yeah.
So either that could mean that he would really like cleaning it or that he would be extra hurt by it. Who knows?
Ew to what you just said.
I know. I will say I was extra taken by the Brady Bunch. They do have a very well manicured yard. They have a very well manicured yard. Tanner houses in San Francisco. There's probably poop so that's why. It was the well manicured yard that did it for me.
What do you think, Billy?
I have no opinion.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
I was just dumped out. I was
slowly.
like, wait a second. What's happening?
I have never heard of somebody pooping on somebody else's lawn to actually help. And I think that is so brilliant that Jonathan wanted to poop on somebody's lawn.
Me personally.
For a growing experience for them. Like, I'm going to give you this gift to bring you guys closer as a family in this learning lesson because of the generosity of your dump. Jonathan, you get the point on this one.
It's a generous dump.
Yeah. It's a generous dump.
All must wins, you know.
That's really...
You are still in a must-win situation here, though. So good.
But still rather kiss it than Charlie Harper, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because there might be a clean part of that shit.
I'm not gonna. I don't want that gif online.
I don't think there's ever clean part of crap.
The container
anyway,
part.
Here we go with this next round that we're moving on to. As Billy's like, God damn it, why did I do that? All right, so here we go. This is a character round. This is a new thing we do on this show where we ask you guys to give us answers before we actually ask the question, and then you will be fighting the answer in the order in which you gave them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
So you just want us to say something?
I'm going to ask you to give a character name.
Got it.
That's now.
Lieutenant Olivia Benson.
Ooh, good one.
Thank you.
Detective Finn Tutuola
Ooh!
from Law & Order SVU.
Obviously.
Okay, so here's the question. What TV character should host the Emmys?
Oh, yes. Lieutenant Olivia Benson not only is charismatic, she is also beautiful to look at, and she is intelligent. She will teach you while she's hosting the Emmys. She will also make sure that speeches like Nicole Kidman's, which is about domestic violence, will be brought to the forefront, will tell you about her organization No More, and will teach you why it is so important to help.
Finn Tutuola, Ice-T on the show, his entire job is to set up other people to do things. That's what the Emmy host is all about. Olivia Benson has a young child who she is always having to leave work early to take care of. You cannot have a host at the Emmys. And look, I don't want to punish someone for being a mother. That's not who I am. But if she's got a little kid...
Noah Benson, her child, has Lucy, the babysitter. The problem with Finn is that he recently has been called out for passing the buck and not doing his job by Dodds when he was still around. So that's why Benson...
Finn Tutuola has had to step up into a leadership role since then, and he is really taking ownership, often going out on calls with Olivia Benson. I don't think she's the right choice to host the Emmys. Dang.
I feel like you guys just met each other's match.
I'm so happy right now.
That was like the
what
deepest.
Just happened?
Just two people across a crowded debate.
I think we have bonded over SVU.
That's just what happened.
This was a weird.
So happy.
This was a strange moment.
This was like the Lady of the Tramp, but with debate. We're just both of you chomping on the same knowledge spaghetti.
Wow. Billy?
I don't know if I want to learn during the Emmys. I guess I'll go with Jonathan. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happening anymore. I'll go with Jonathan.
Danielle.
I did say I really appreciated the way that you brought up that Ice-T is now in more of a more in a leadership position. I thought that was really that was really well done. So I'm gonna go with Jonathan on this round.
I felt like from the entire start of this was a checkmate situation. Like,
yes.
Yell put something out there and you were like, aha, but let me one up that thing. And then Yell was like, aha. And honestly, part of the game is when you do speak and when you give your answer. And I think because you got the last word and you got to rebut at the end of what she was saying and you got to go against the leadership and talk about also how setting people up as part of hosting, it was just a little bit stronger. Jonathan, you get the point, and therefore have tied up the game, which means that this will be the final round, regardless of which way it falls. It's okay. You don't have to hide behind it's still just TV fights, man. You got this. All right, here we go. Everybody ready for this final question?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ooh, this is another one I slipped through.
Great.
This will decide it.
Today is #Talk Like a Pirate Day. Which TV show would be most improved by adding a pirate? He laughs at it. It's brilliant.
I'm thinking, yeah, it's great. I'm thinking.
Family Guy.
How long do I have?
5
seconds. Yeah. To think of a show.
The Leftovers.
Oh, God. Yell, starting with you whenever you're ready.
Family Guy has a pirate, and what would be real nice would be if the pirate had a mate. And that's what Family Guy needs, is to find the pirate a mate. Because then you add romance to a show that right now is a lot of fart jokes and people beating each other up and the chicken. And I think that if you add this romantic character...
If a pirate was on The Leftovers, I would not be one bit surprised. I'd be like, who knows what world this is in? Who knows what universe is in? I feel right at home. I did not know there was a pirate on Family Guy, but you're saying all Family Guy is missing is a pirate to really make the show come alive. The show's been on for like 15 seasons. I don't think a second pirate is going to help all that much.
I think it's going to elevate the show because it has been on for so long and you need to give it a new life, and that's what you need is a new character, whereas Leftovers is a confusing weirdo show where you don't know what universe they're from, you don't know what's happening.
If I saw a pirate there, and I'm talking about like a serious pirate, I'm not talking a cartoonish Jack Sparrow pirate, a real pirate to be like, I'm going to give you a mission, a lesson you need to learn for the future of humanity. Ding.
Our first fighter in 97 episodes to actually say ding.
Because I thought when I was speaking, I was like, have I only been speaking for 2.5 seconds? Because if so, this is about to get real awkward.
Ding.
Ding.
Ding, mother beepers. All right. Billy, coming to you first.
I mean, Family Guy has a pirate. So to say all it needs is a pirate, it's like, well, it's got it, and it's been on for 15 years, and if that pirate didn't do it, a new one's probably not going to help. So for that, I'll give it to Jonathan.
Yeah, man, that second pirate argument is very compelling. Where he said, like, in his head, that's what it needs to bring it together, a second pirate. I gotta go with Jonathan on that one. That was a very compelling argument.
I like that you schooled yourself in the it needs a pirate. By the way, it already has one.
That was great.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting thing for an episode maybe to improve, but not for the show. And on The Leftovers, I totally get what you're getting at, that you wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they've got Jesus and all of these people that like just keep popping in. It wouldn't be that weird. There could be placement, and I think it could add. You had the stronger arguments, Jonathan. You get the point, and therefore the victory of the day. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Apparently, the good TV fights runs in the family.
What a battle that was.
It's a Lon John kind of thing. I've been wanting to say that all show.
I don't want people to think that that's why I'm here, is because it's a Lon John kind of thing. Although, if my brother was not here, I may not have been invited.
Oh no, we would have found you somehow. I don't know how, but somehow. Yell, so close. So close down to the pirates. Arg. Is that what pirates do?
Yeah.
Isn't today
bloody
hashtag talk like a pirate
Talk
day?
like a pirate.
Yeah.
Arg, bloody TV fights pirates in the house.
Kermit, why are you
Sing it all the time.
What is happening?
Trying to take my victory. Where can people find you, man?
You can find me talking a lot about SVU online at Yeltigal. That's YAELTYGIEL.
And Danielle.
I'm on just at Danielle Radford on Twitter.
Cool. Jonathan
You can find me
Victor.
on Twitter at Country Caravan, and I do comedy and stuff.
All right, awesome. And Billy, we have an announcement for the peeps today now.
Yeah, you want to make it?
Yeah, okay, cool. So we have an exciting announcement. Some of you guys might not know this, that we are actually moving TV Fights to not be weekly anymore. We're still going to keep it weekly until its 100th episode, which is just around the corner on October 10th, which is awesome. But we're trying out new things. We're going to be going to short form content and doing that a little bit on news. And then we're also going to be going to the main channel and Movie Fights time slot a couple of times possibly, and doing some specials there. So just expanding our audience and figuring out a perfect format for this show, which we want to keep going because you guys are so awesome and we really appreciate it. Keep on watching and we'll let you guys know where you can find us, absolutely. But we will be here every single week till the 10th for our 100th, which is crazy that we've been doing it that long.
And we've got a really cool one coming next week. It was supposed to be today, got shifted 1 week. We're doing Star Trek fights. This is going to be awesome. We have Brandon Braga, showrunner for Next Generation. He's coming back.
So badass.
We've got Movie Mance had to be a part of it. I'm going to let Dan take the fact checker couch because he knows Star Trek in and out. We have so many cool things coming as
Robert Meyer Burnett,
Robert
too.
Meyer Burnett is stepping into the ring to talk Star Trek. So all Star Trek questions. Thank you guys for submitting. Those helped us a lot. We will be doing it next week after the premiere of Discovery as we head into episode number 100, where the champion may or may not have to put his belt on the line.
And by may or may not, he will have to. I just made that decision live on TV Fights. This is something I've been really working on since our last Star Trek theme thing, Billy. I can only do it for about a second. And
It's so close.
It's so close.
Yeah!
You're welcome, people. Billy, where can everybody keep up with you until next week?
At Billy A. Patterson, and please watch SJU every morning live on Screen Junkies News. It is getting weirder and crazier and funnier, and it's the best half hour on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. We love you guys. You can find me at Roxy Striar. We'll be back next week for Star Trek Tuesday at 4 p.m. Until then, send us your questions, hashtag TV Fights.
This episode is brought to you by T-Mobile. Want to hear how America's best unlimited network is upping their game? Now get Netflix included with your family plan. There's never been a better time to switch.